Always listen to those older than you. Sometimes they may know more things than you. Where should I start? Well, I guess from the beginning. From young, my parents would always drop me off at my grandparents', since they were too busy with work, and my grandparents were willing to look after me. We all lived in a block of flats. However, my grandparents would have this specific set of rules when staying over. 1. Never go out during 10 PM to 12 AM. 2. Make sure the entrance and windows facing the communal corridors are locked and closed during 10 PM to 12 AM. 3. If you hear any noises outside the corridors during 10 PM to 12 AM, do not look outside. Little me was curious about these 3 rules my grandparents always told me. The first and last time I asked, the only answer I got from Grandad was, "Well, I'm guessing ghosts roam outside at these hours. I don't know what they do to you if you break the rules though. Wanna find out?" he said with a mischievous grin. Little me was easily frightened, and Grandma was not pleased. Eventually, as I lived over at their house, I got used to the rules. I barely went out at all, since my grandparents lived in a different district from where I lived, and where I lived was where all my friends were. Plus, due to my strict parents, I developed a habit to be in bed by 9, and the fact that I was scared silly by dear old Grandad. So, during my childhood living there, I didn't have any problems. When I asked my parents about the 3 rules, they shrugged and chalked it up to some superstitious nonsense. They didn't want to insult my grandparents' culture though. They can do whatever superstitious acts as long as they don't get hurt. I rarely go over to their house these few years. Old people don't use modern technology, and they don't like the idea of modern devices. They don't have a Wi-Fi router, consoles, or a computer. Well, what can I say? I do love staying over, but the comforts of modern technology, what can I do? I remember arguing to them. I'm a teenager already. Can't you just leave me at home? I was frantic. Since I agreed to party up with my friends to take down Nagigante this evening, that stupid spiky dragon was really hard to beat. If we didn't do this raid today, we'll have to rearrange a few weeks later, since my other friends have part-time jobs. My parents told me that they didn't trust me alone, to which quite frankly, I'm insulted. I'm a law-abiding citizen. What do they think would happen when they're gone for 2 days? Invite friends over? With this virus? Please. I have no intentions of getting infected. And snort crack? Smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol? Hell no. The worst I'm gonna do is probably a sizable dent in their power bill, with all my gaming and an empty fridge. Well, after they said good old Grandma and Pa misses me, how could I resist? I reluctantly agreed and told my friends that I couldn't play with them. When I arrived, Grandpa and especially Grandma absolutely smothered me in hugs and kisses. With mostly, "I've missed you so much," and the usual, "You've gotten taller." "You're skinnier now," proclaimed my grandma. "You have to eat more. Come, I've cooked all your favourites. It's lunchtime, isn't it? Come, you must eat more. I've put on more calories than that time I had an ice cream eating contest with my friends. I won with 4.5 tubs, but at what cost? It was getting to 7 PM, and my grandparents started to get ready for bed. "You didn't forget the rules we told you, right? Come, help me close and lock the door," my grandfather said, as he drew the curtains and locked the window shutters. I was pretty curious about these 3 rules. I never really asked the residents who lived in these blocks about the 3 rules, though it seemed they knew as I heard doors and windows being shut, and the curtains drawn and the window shutters locked. Looks like they all closed up hours before the time, no doubt a precautionary measure. As I closed and locked the door, I noticed a little gap at the lower door hinge. It was small enough so no one can see out, but it may be small enough for a phone to slip through. I glanced back, and my granddad was already on his way to bed. Grandma's probably in bed already. I know. At this point, you're shrieking. That's exactly how stupid people in horror movies get killed, cursed, something bad. Well, in my defense, I was really curious. "Hurry up already, would you? You know where you'll be sleeping, right?" Grandpa called from his bedroom. "Yeah," I called back. "The guest room, as usual." "That's right, and you'd better not stay up too late playing your games, okay?" my grandma called at me. I pulled out my phone, removed the casing, and slid it through the gap, camera facing the corridor. If anything passed the apartment block, the camera would capture it. The phone was in an angle where nobody outside could dislodge and or steal the phone. I pressed the record button and headed to bed. I was playing Breath of the Wild on my Switch with my headphones on. A glance at my watch told me that it was 11:53 PM already. I waited until 12 AM and waited for an extra 10 minutes just in case. I tiptoed to the door and slid out my phone. If my grandparents knew about this, they would give me a big earful. My grandfather's lectures can last for hours and I'm not going to risk that. I cut the recording and sighed. The mystery of the 3 rules can wait. For now, I've stayed up pretty late and I should be sleeping already. This morning, I tried to wake up early to watch the video in secret, but damn old people really know how to wake up early. As I entered the living room, I heard my grandma bustle around in the kitchen. She called out to me that she's cooked breakfast and my share's on the table. I excused myself after breakfast and went to the toilet where I could watch the video in complete privacy. I wish I've never recorded the damn video. The video played, and nothing really happened during 10 PM. This block of flats has 12 floors, and the apartment I'm on is the 8th. Whatever's happening is probably happening on the other floors. At 11 PM, I could see something humanoid leave the lift lobby and slowly walk down the dimly lit corridor. I couldn't see what it was, but it was definitely not human. It was far too thin, fingers far too long, and that long hair, it reached all the way to its chest. As it strolled down the hallway, it stopped in front of this flat. Goosebumps raised on my arms, and a sweat drop trickled down the side of my face. The thing then walked through the door. "What the?" I muttered, as if someone from inside the house grabbed it. No. What the hell? My heart beat faster with every second. The phone was raised, the camera side facing downwards. It panned up, facing the dark living room. It continued, shakily towards the bedrooms. It then stopped, in front of the guest room, the room I was residing in. It then moved to the slight opening of the door, where you could see me playing on my Switch, my bored face dimly lit by the device. It then bent down, and a long, twisted finger started scratching at the base of the door. My hands started shaking. What if I didn't have my headphones on? What if I looked at the door at the wrong time? What would have happened to me? 11:10 PM was when it was done. It walked back to the entrance, slid my phone back into the gap, and exited the house. The video then ended with me grabbing it and cutting the recording at 12:13 AM. I came out of the bathroom, and my fear must have been visible on my face, as Grandad remarked how pale my face was. What the hell was I going to do with this recording? Call the police? What am I going to say? A ghostly break-in? What the hell even was this thing? I stood in front of the guest room and bent down. At the base of the door, faint but visible scratches could be seen. WATCHOUT.